Hello, and welcome back. Think back to a time when you could trust your news anchor. Names like Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather represented a gold standard of journalism. They were known as the most trusted men in America because their perspective was clear, delivered just the facts, and let the American public form their own opinions. But take a look at our news landscape today. We have a 24/7 information fire hose where nearly every major outlet, left or right, is openly biased, competing not just to inform you, but to confirm your political leanings. What happened to the objective journalist? Well, today on Perspectives of Jerry, we're diving into three tectonic shifts in technology, regulation, and economics that dismantled the old way of news and ushered in the age of polarization. Now, to understand this change, we have to appreciate the environment of the 1960s and 70s. This was the era of the big three networks, NBC, ABC, and CBS. They had a near monopoly. If you wanted the news, you went to one of those three places. This massive shared audience meant their business model was built on neutrality. They couldn't afford to be liberal or conservative. They had to appeal to everyone to keep those viewership numbers as high as they could. Their job was to act as nonpartisan gatekeepers of information. This created a widely accepted set of facts and a foundation of a shared reality. When Cronkite spoke, the nation listened. Regardless of their political party, the goal was public service and not segmenting the market. The second and perhaps most critical factor was a regulatory change, the Fairness Doctrine. Introduced in 1949, this FCC rule required broadcast media to present controversial issues of public importance in a way that was honest, equitable, and balanced. It was the formal support structure of objectivity. While it had some critics, its repeal in 1987 was a watershed moment. Overnight, the legal obligation to present contrasting viewpoints was gone. It wasn't just a political change, it was an economic opportunity. It immediately paved the way for the rise of opinion-heavy talk radio and later partisan cable news networks. When the guardrails came down, the business model of news shifted from neutral information to partisan entertainment. The repeal of the Fairness Doctrine cleared the runway, and cable technology fueled the jet. The launch of channels like Fox News and MSNBC completed the shift towards niche marketing. Objectivity is expensive and boring. Controversy sells. Cable channels realized they could generate more loyal, passionate, and predictable audience, and thus add more ad revenue by openly catering to one political side. This led to the explosion of punditry, which is opinion-based segments, which are cheaper to produce than investigative journalism. The line between a seasoned reporter and a shouting political commentator blurred. News became infotainment. I do not like that word, but that's exactly what it is. They're no longer trying to convince the whole country, they're trying to confirm the biases of their own chosen segment. If cable news fractured the audience, the internet and social media atomized it completely. News now comes to us not through a shared nightly broadcast, but through algorithmic feeds. These algorithms are designed to maximize engagement. And what engages us the most? Content that affirms our existing beliefs and provokes reactions. We're now constantly swimming in a digital echo chamber. This doesn't just make us more entrenched in our own views, it makes us distrust any source outside of our curated feed, hardening the political divide and making any return to a shared set of facts incredibly difficult. The transformation of the news media is a story of three forces: a shift from 3 networks to hundreds of niche channels, the removal of regulatory pressure, and the adoption of profit-first, opinion-driven business model. The result is a media landscape that is fundamentally different from one Dan Rather and Walter Cronkite had inhabited. The biggest takeaway for us is this: the burden of finding an objective truth no longer rests with the broadcaster. It rests entirely with you, the viewer. We have to be our own editors, seek out multiple perspectives, and actively question the motive behind the news we consume. So what do you think? What do you think is the biggest loss from the golden age of objective news? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Perspectives of Jerry for more dives into topics that shape our world. Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day.